Stop trying to be more disciplined. You need to solve your direction problem. For a long time, I genuinely thought something was wrong with me. I tried everything, every system, every framework, every piece of advice from people who seemed to have cracked something I hadn't. I'd go all in for 2 weeks, feel the momentum, feel like this time was different. And then I'd fall off. And every single time I fell off, I'd land on the same conclusion: more discipline, better system, woke up early, stack more accountability into the process. Same result. The confusing part was that I was never lazy. When something actually interested me, I'd stay up until 2 a.m. without noticing. I'd cancel plan for it, think about it in the shower, on walk, in the middle of conversation that had nothing to do with it. No system required, no reminder on my phone, no accountability partner checking in on me. Just completely absorbed, wondering where the last 4 hours went. So why couldn't I do that with the stuff that mattered? That question sat with me for a long time. Think about the last thing you genuinely couldn't put down. Could be anything: a project, a conversation, a random rabbit hole at midnight that turned into 3 hours you didn't plan for, something that didn't feel like work, even when it technically was, something you kept coming back to without being told to. Did you need motivation for that? Did you need to trick yourself into starting? Set a time, build a whole habit system around it. You just did it, came back to it, stayed up too late because of it, show up without the internal argument that usually happens before you open the laptop. Most people have felt this at least once and immediately dismiss it. Call it a hobby, something for weekends, something that doesn't count because it came too easily to be taken seriously. We were taught that real work is supposed to feel like resistance, that if it doesn't hurt, it probably doesn't matter. A lot of people build entire lives around that idea. A lot of those same people are exhausted in a way that a week off doesn't fix. I spent a year building something that made completely sense on paper. Good market, real demands, the kind of direction that smart people around me thought was logical. I had the skills, I had the plan. On every external metric, I was doing the right thing. Every morning the alarm went off and my first thought was about getting through the day. I told myself I was a phase. The real builders don't wait to feel motivated, they show up anyway. So I show up anyway for 12 months. I show up anyway. The result came, the revenue came, the markers of progress showed up more or less on schedule. The feeling never came. I remember sitting with that, genuinely confused. I had done everything right and still end up somewhere that I felt hollow. My body was telling me every single morning I just had a better argument. At some point, I started paying attention to people around me who seemed to have genuinely figured something out. The actual one. The people you meet in the real life who talk about their work with an energy that doesn't feel rehearsed, who are hard to pull away from what they're building, who look almost confused when you ask how they stay consistent, like question doesn't quite land for them. Those people are not running on more willpower than you. They are not waking up at 5 a.m. through some superior force of character. They found something that pulls rather than something they have to push every single day. When the direction is genuinely yours, when it connects to something specific about who you are, the energy comes from the work itself. You don't manufacture it. The showing up becomes the easy part, and everything else, the craft, the thinking, the actual building, becomes the hard part. Most people never get there because getting there requires a stretch of time that looks completely unproductive from the outside, and most people are too scared of looking unproductive to give themselves that time. The process of finding what is actually yours is genuinely messy. You try something, feel slightly off, try something else, slightly less off. You have a random conversation about something completely unrelated to your work, and something lights up in your chest that your actual work hasn't managed to produce in months. You follow that for a few weeks, lose it, find it again from a completely different angle. Somewhere in the middle of all that, something starts to click. A specific combination of things you are curious about, things you're naturally decent at, things about you'd think about with no audience and no outcome attached. A lot of people want to find the thing first and then start, waiting for certainty before committing, wanting the answer before running the experiment. The certainty only comes from doing it. You cannot think your way to it from the outside. You have to get inside it, build with it, fail with it, and pay attention to how it actually feels from there. There is a signal most people have been trained to override: the morning feeling. First thought when the alarms goes off, it is about getting into something or getting through something. The feeling compounded over months and years in the difference between building something that energizes you and building something that slowly drains you in a way you can't quite name. Both can produce results. Both can look fine from the outside. I ignored that signals for over a year because I convinced myself that good builders push through the feeling, that the resistance was proof I was doing something serious. It was proof I was pointed at someone else's destination and calling it ambition. Take the thing you keep returning to without a strategic reason, the thing that shows up in your thinking uninvited, the problem you find yourself caring about even when there is no immediate payoff for caring about it. Give it 30 days. Do it badly. Do it without knowing where it's going. Do it with no plans for how it becomes anything other than the things itself. Pay attention what happens when you sit down to do it. Does the time move or disappear? Do you finish wanting to stop or wanting more? That information is worth more than any system you could build around the wrong direction. If it pulls, follow it another 30 days. If it doesn't, you have ruled something out and that's actually useful. Move to the next thing you are even slightly curious about. Keep going until the morning feels different. One day you wake up and your first thought is about getting into something rather than getting through it, and you realize you haven't thought about discipline in weeks. The people who seem to have figured it out gave themselves the months most people call impractical, the unimpressive, looks like nothing months of trying things badly and paying attention to what the trying revealed. Most people skip those months, say they'll do it later when things settle down. Things don't settle down. What they really mean, if they're being honest, is that they're scared to find out what they actually want. Because once you know what you actually want, you lose the excuse. And losing the excuse means you have to go build it. And building it means you might fail at the things that actually matters to you, which is scarier than failing at something that was never really yours. That things exist for you. The alarm can go off differently. It just requires giving yourself permission to spend a few months finding out what you actually care about, the most productive things you can do that looks the least productive while you're doing it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share. That means a lot to me. See you in the next video.